Shalom everyone, I'm going to continue the series of the Daf Yomi. As you can see, we're on page 34, Masechet Bava Kamma, and you can see animals, dead carcasses over here. Have they got value or not within regards to, we can learn in today's stuff in the Talmud, because we've been talking all about damages. Over the previous days, if an animal damages another one, could kill another animal, but still, the dead animal will still have value, we know, because inside the Talmud, inside the Gemara. And we're going to expound on that further today. I believe this picture is if we know one of the plagues, actually, the Asara Makot, which we learn about in Parshat Va'era and Sefer Shemot, was actually this plague, the plague of Dever, which was the fifth one, respectively. So just a picture illustrating that from there. So to cast our minds back, inside the Mishnah, it dealt with application of the laws of something called a shor tam. What is a shor tam? Shor means an ox, and a tam means an animal without any violent tendencies to it. So the Torah teaches actually in Sefer Shemot, in Parshat Mishpatim, in chapter 21, verse 35, that when an ox gores another ox and kills it, both the live animal and the dead one are sold, and their value is divided between the owner of the ox that did the damage, we call that the mazik, and the owner of the ox that was killed, called the nizak. This is a source for the idea that we have already seen, that a shor tam pays chetzi nezik mekufa, half of the damage that it did, but not more than its own value over here. Very key thing. So the Mishnah illustrates the law with an example. It's going to give an example in today's page. What is that, friends? So say we've got an ox, and it's which is worth, let's say 200, amount 200, and it will gore an ox that is also worth the value of 200, and the carcass of the dead animal has no value. Both the mazik and the nizak will receive 100. Let's say, why would it have no value? For one reason or another, maybe it decayed or something. So both will receive 100. Half the value of the shor tam that gored. Then there's a commentator of the name Rabbi Meir who comments that this is a, let's say, archetypical case discussed inside the Torah in Sefer Shemot in chapter 21. Rabbi Yehuda is going to have an objection that in this case we divide the value of the animal that gored, but not of the dead animal. So it's the one that actually does a goring, we will divide that value. According to Rabbi Yehuda, the archetypical case is one where the goring ox was worth 200, and the ox that was killed was worth 200. And the carcass over here now, of this dead animal, has went down from a value of 200 to 50, to the amount 50. In this case, each party would receive 125 according to the Torah rules. So I'm the accountant, so it's a very good, I learned it in university, so this should be very, very natural to me, these figures. The Gemara asks why Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda are going to have a machloket to argue on this. After all, they are both in agreement that the mazik and the nizak would each receive 125 in Rabbi Yehuda's case over here. Rava then suggests that the difference is who would lose out in a situation of something called pehat nevela. What is pehat nevela, friends? Where the value of the carcass becomes worth less over time. So these animals, the more the time goes on, the less it's going to be worth. Obviously, because of decaying and other factors, various factors can come across. According to Rabbi Meir, the carcass over here belongs to its original owner. And if it loses value, the loss is his, so the owner itself is going to actually lose out. He's going to come out of pocket. So there's some sort of alistracy needed. Rabbi Yehuda believes that the two parties become partners in both animals, and if the value of the carcass drops, they will share the loss. So it's in everyone's interest over here, according to Rabbi Yehuda, that this is going to be sorted out definitely sooner rather than later. One other thing to add is that when an animal is killed, the value of the carcass is established based on the price of the meat, say the non-kosher meat, and the animal's hide itself. So it's got value of unkosher meat and hide also, because naturally the animal's not kosher if it's killed. We know that. Potentially it can be sold to a non-Jewish person. As time passes and the natural process of the decomposition is set in, the value of natural... Sorry, just a